Welcome back to the show, folks. We have a new sponsor, Chandan. I think I said that right, man. Yeah, and he's attorney at law, and he's going to be here to give information about senior law or any other elder law. I guess that would be the same thing, elder law. And maybe once a month he's going to be here, so maybe you might have questions and things like that you might want to ask him. So why don't we take a look at this now? Welcome to the show, folks. My next guest is attorney. Let me see if I get this right. Chandan Manasingh. Hey, I got it right. Yay, 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 yay. Attorney at law. He's going to be our go-to legal attorney here in Pahrump. How about that? Now, you might want to give us just a little background, sir.
Okay. Well, I'm practicing right now in the Las Vegas area, but my firm is looking to open up offices out in Pahrump soon as our client base continues to grow, and we hope to continue to service the Pahrump area. And I moved from Florida.
Oh.
I taught legal writing and other legally related courses at the University of South Florida for a number of years.
Wow.
Went to law school at the University of Minnesota in the cold. And I did my undergrad at the University of South Florida as well.
Wow, well, you just look too young, I mean, to be teaching and all that kind of thing at the university, you know. I mean, you just do. Well, anyway.
I guess looks can be deceiving, right?
They can. Okay, I understand that there's some information that you have, especially dealing with seniors, elder law, and there are things that seniors have problems with.
Sure. Well, you know, I don't really even like the term elder law that much. I think it creates kind of a negative connotation to some extent. I like to refer to it more as planning. And we all like to plan. So I'd like to call it prudent planning law.
Okay.
And there are a lot of things that, as we age, we need to plan for that some people don't think about. For example, one of the biggest things and one of the most difficult areas for seniors is the difference between Medicare and Medicaid. Most people don't know that there is a substantive difference between Medicare and Medicaid. Medicare, most people assume, will take care of everything. So all of their expenses, nursing homes, etc., will be planned for and paid for by those programs. That's not the case. Medicare is different than Medicaid. Medicaid has certain income limits and certain restrictions in order to qualify for that type of healthcare assistance. And so as you age and as you grow older and you've planned your nest egg, sometimes in some ways, unfortunately, that can be used to penalize you. For example, there's a 36-month look-back period at transfers that you may have made. And it's not a penalty period per se, but sometimes Medicaid will only pay benefits if after that 36-month look-back period, no transfers were made, or they may just penalize you a certain amount based upon your income. So you want to make sure that you're a prudent planner and that you have things in your will or your estate that you've planned for. For example, there generally is a liquidity requirement of a $3,500 income per month in order to qualify for Medicaid. And so these are things that people don't really contemplate, unfortunately, until it gets too late.
Too late.
And then they're in that 36-month period, and they didn't think about it, and then they're being penalized, or they're having to use money that they thought that they would be able to use for expenses and to enjoy their senior living, and instead they're having to put it towards their health care. So it's a really very significant issue. And that's why it's important to have an attorney that understands those issues. Even as you go about, and this is of course another area, you know, wills and estate planning.
I was going to ask you about that too, about trust.
So those are significant areas too, and areas that people often commonly associate with elder law. Again, don't like the term, but
we'll change it. Change it.
But those are areas, again, when you're planning your wills and when you're doing your transfers to spouses, because there are rules that you can transfer to spouses, for example, or children under 21 without penalty, or disabled children. And so those are all things that a prudent elder law practitioner would look at in order to be able to maximize the amount of benefits you're able to reap during retirement.
Yeah.
So again, it's planning. You don't have to reach a certain age to do this, but I think it's really prudent that people think about these things, because as the baby boomers begin to age, I don't think they always think about the consequences of Medicare and Medicaid.
Wow. You know, I was thinking about that because being, you know, I've been single now for 46 years. Anyway, my daughter, who is around 50, and so since I'm single now and I have no one out here family-wise, is there anything my daughter should know in case something ever happened to me, you know, say hospital thing, just some simple things that she would need to know?
Well, you may want to think about a durable power of attorney.
Okay.
And that will give her the ability to make some decisions for you. Again, and that's why it's all called planning.
Right.
Because there's decisions you may want your daughter to make for you, and there's decisions that you may not want your daughter to make for you.
Right.
Unfortunately, people that don't have these types of powers of attorneys, and it basically gives the ability for whoever you appoint to make decisions for you. And they could be limited, meaning you can limit the power of attorney maybe to just signing checks or signing over a property transfer.
Okay.
Or it could be more general. But let's say that you didn't have that type of power of attorney available. Then sometimes, and heaven forbid you became incapacitated somehow.
That's the part I wanted to know about.
Right, and then you have to look to the courts to appoint a guardian for you. And the problem with that is that you may not get the guardian that you want. Not only that, now you've invoked the expense of an attorney and court cost in appointing a guardian instead of planning ahead of time with a power of attorney.
So once I set up my planning, I mean, someone couldn't take that to court and revoke it, could they?
Well, you know, it's the law. So that's a tough question because there are always gray lines, right?
Oh, okay.
I mean, if you set up your planning and let's say someone argued that you weren't of right capacity to do
Yeah,
it.
that part I was wondering.
But, you know, generally for most people, 98, 99% of the people, you know, setting up the planning at the early stage is fine and can rarely be challenged.
Oh, wow. What are some of the problems that we seniors seemingly have at and I'm thinking about, you know, when you're past 70, what are some of those problems that they have?
Well, I think a lot of it is financial planning.
Okay.
You know, I mean, if you're financially secure in your planning, you feel comfortable, right? And so that's why I emphasized at the beginning of the program the differences between Medicare, Medicaid, and how that financial planning affects you. Of course, the other issues, of course, are issues like nursing homes. And just so your viewers out there know, we have kind of a nice checklist of 32, 33 questions that you can ask or should look at when you're looking to choose a long-term care facility. Because a lot of times people think, especially, let's say your relationship with your daughter, that you'll never go to some type of assisted living facility, which of course is fantastic. But sometimes then the realization comes in and they say, well, you know, dad needs a little more care than I'm able to give him, or even a home health provider's able to give him. And so now we've got to look at these assisted living facilities, and how do we know? Because we've all heard the horror stories about what can happen at some of the nursing homes.
Oh, yes.
And so there are things you want to look at, you know, like the general mood, activities. You want to take a look at other things too. What's the use of physical restraints in the facilities? Is there a dementia unit? Those are things that you should look at when you're evaluating a nursing home. Like I said, I've got about 32, 33 different questions. Some other things you may want to think about is liability insurance. Make sure that the facility is properly insured to cover for any malpractice. CNAs play a big part in the nursing homes, and so you want to make sure that they're not overstaffed and overworked,
kind of thing.
or not. I'm sorry, understaffed.
Understaffed, where they don't have time to deal with their
Right. So you want to look at
population,
the kind of the ratios. Also, referrals are great. You know, if you call our law office, we know some facilities that have good reputations, and we know of some facilities that
don't.
maybe a little bit more
A little bit
questionable.
more questionable.
We won't say they don't, right?
Right.
And so using an attorney, of course, again, that has that experience, that
Right.
could guide you in these issues. So your prudent planning attorney guides you through a number of years. So hopefully it's a relationship that grows and develops and flourishes for many years.
Well, this is very good information. I really going to take this myself, because even though I have planned, there's still certain information here
Absolutely.
that I never realized before. And what is the telephone number that they can call?
702-529-0333.
Once more.
702-529-0333.
Oh, that's great. And is there an email address or anything?
It's actually my first name, Chandan, Chandan, at LasVegasLitigationFirm.com. That's all one word.
Okay. Listen, thanks again.
Thank
if
you so
enjoyed having
much.
you here, and you must come back.
I absolutely will.
All right. Thanks, folks, for watching, and we'll be back. I know she thought I was going to end the show. We shall return after these messages. Stay tuned.
We've worked together all these years. He reads my mind.
Boy, that was interesting. I tell you, I may have questions myself. So stay tuned, folks. We shall return after these messages.